I went upstairs to play backgammon with Brian, only we called it tavli, because that's what Lefteri called it in Greek, and he seemed to be able to throw double sixes on demand, so we went with that. It was a good way of pretending we had the time that we were wasting to waste. I knock on the door, and dark and curly Lefteri answers. Brian's on the phone. We go into the kitchen. Lefteri's all worried about his latest woman, but they're all the same, which is easy to tell if it's not your woman that's the problem. All his women are short, dark and plump, if not actually fat. I have to tell you, this guy could find a dusky little chubber on an Aryan Uber chick farm. If he introduced me to a new one, blindfold, I'd look down. He also liked non-Protestants, Catholic, Orthodox, Coptic, but he never really left the fold and went all out with a druid or anything. You know, I have a problem with Nuria. Nuria was a lovable Spanish girl he had holed up in another flat a block over and ignored. Yeah? She says I don't see her enough of the times. You don't? Okay, I don't, so? That was a pretty good argument. Mine, I mean. Good because it was true and I was right. I was confused by his answer. I didn't know what to say next, so I did what he did. So? Yeah? You don't see her enough? No. So she's got a problem? Yes, problem, you know. Now I do. Yeah. What to do? I see her. Which is, okay, I don't see her, but I was doing so much good here, I expected the Nobel people to burst in and thrust a peace prize upon me at any moment. I generally had no idea what Lefteri was thinking or saying, unless he was introducing me to his latest tubby Latin midget. This is a guy who studied studying and lined up diminutive Logibridgidas 2 or 3 at a time and lived the most complex of simple lives. He just wanted to be a student forever and screw the nearest he could get to a Shiksa Liz Taylor whenever he felt like it and pay her no attention in between. Okay, impossible. But you have to admire his effort, even if this is true of everyone from Hitler to Ralph Nader. And you try getting them in the same sentence. Lefteri was all potential. He could grow a beard while you were shaving. He could do a degree while you were reading a book list. He could find a girl while you were looking for a girl. Okay, but he was also all going too. He could forget your name if you left the room. He could change his mind while you were trying to get him to. He could disappear as you were looking for him. Even in the middle of a conversation, he might start talking about something else. You just had to go with it. I can't imagine how he was with women. I liked him, like I like most people I knew in those days, mainly from lack of judgment, but he never did me any harm. I was male, Protestant, tall and thin, so I never qualified for his abuse. So he was a good guy, but how hairy was he? He was so hairy you found yourself staring. I told him once when he was explaining something to me. I said, "You're pretty hirsute, aren't you?" He said, "Yeah, I don't miss much." Daniel I knew through his shortcomings, which were legion and on display for anyone to see. Brian clearly and consistently lied to everyone about everything at every opportunity, and Paulinho was so nice he couldn't even fib. Lefteri I never knew, because any characteristics were obfuscated by his incoherence and my incomprehension and his hair. So what I knew of this complete person were just unconnected facts. He couldn't hold a rational conversation even with himself. He couldn't treat a girl he loved properly because the women he loved weren't attracted to that. He couldn't settle on anything from a beard to a career because he was able to choose from so many options so freely. Another victim of his own freedom then. I could have been best friends with Gary fucking Gilmore, couldn't I? Brian had painted the kitchen woodwork all red and green, window frames and chair legs. This was some kind of anti-black yuppie furniture statement from the days before IKEA. The spoon handles were red plastic, the plates were green. They even had a red teapot and an Art Deco kettle, all steel and boiling hot handles. This sort of investment in your environment was anathema to me. I'd painted a black silhouette of myself wearing a fedora on the kitchen wall, traced onto the wall from the shadow thrown by the sun one afternoon. The rest of the deco was mostly washing up an old soya from Daniel's non-beetroot meals, and the map of Europe I'd put up to fool Dan into thinking it existed. "Do you want a tea?" He made some tea. It would be better than Daniel's, whatever he did to it. I looked out of the window, the same view I had from 9 feet and a half a degree lower. The radio was on, some station we liked. There's always one in your lifetime sometime. They played Black and Lloyd Cole, and if they didn't, we did. What do we know? The Art Deco kettle boiled like any other kettle, made the same hot water. Lefteri poured it into the pot onto the tea leaves and we waited. I entertained myself by wondering if the tea was standing, steeping or brewing. Me, I was waiting. Brian came in. He had a bit of paper. He was always writing stuff down and then shouting it at you. Usually marks. The point is to change it. This time it was about magic. You remember, Brian was into magic, spells and that. Not like Dan, he said. Practical magic, as opposed to... I tried not to interrupt. You had to let him blow one off every now and again. He read it with a wild grin, actually gesticulating, standing in the door of the kitchen in his Afghan socks from Oxfam as hairy Lefteri looked on at the steam from the teapot. And I didn't. Listen to this, right? The category of magic governs the interpsychic relations between men in society and, more precisely, our perception of others. Man is always a sorcerer to man. The social world is primarily magical. Eh? Eh? There was a short silence after this little recital. Brian looking excitedly from one of us to the other. The tea quietly sitting there. Lefteri reached for the green and red cups from a red cupboard. China clinked. Perhaps he wasn't there. What? I asked Brian. What? What does that mean, really? What? Is this what you're doing in there all day, reading magic quotes? You need to be more metaphorical, you. You're too literal. It's all about the understanding, the underlyingness. The underlyingness. Lefteri knows he's Greek. They've got myths. Yes, we have very much myths. Well, the English don't, apart from Robin Hood and King Arthur, and they're both Sean Connery, so I'm not really au fait with the genre, am I? Au fait? Asked Lefteri. Irish savant, is the tea ready? We sat down. Lefteri poured. There's something about tea in a pot, something all 1940s England, home counties, barrage balloons and woolen underwear. No matter we were in Hackney in the 1980s, all unemployment, violence and debt, still tastes like empire, race memory, all that. We drank and looked through the fallout on the window at the pollution coating the smoke over Margaret's queendom. Magnificent, if you like despair and hatred with your cuppa. Our minds may have begun to wander. They usually did. I might have sat there for some minutes or longer. Brian and Lefteri maybe left the room to study or something. I stayed in the kitchen daydreaming and drinking tea. The afternoon could easily pass this way, unnoticed and unlamented. Lamentable, but unlamented. It wasn't like we were wasting time. We didn't have anything else to do with it. So I sit in the green and red room, drinking tea. Brian and Lefteri come in, go out. I have some notes to read over. They lie open on the table in front of me. Brian leans over and shouts into my face, "Only 3 weeks to go!" and pushes my notes to the floor. Then comes back and does the same thing again, laughing more. Bastard. Did you hear about that thing on Radio 4 about the zebras? No. What? These 2 zebras died in Sarajevo Zoo when they were transferring them. They escaped from the zoo and ran into the city. Took them hours to catch them again. But they died. Yeah, when they put them back in the cage, the female dropped dead from shock or something, and the male smashed his head into the floor until he died. Oh, fuck. What? What fuck? Lefteri came through. Brian told him the story. It turned the day for us, or it should have. Should have told us something.